interested, we'll have that reporting available afterwards, and that way, we'll be able to send that out. There's also going to be a short Q&A at the end, so if you have any questions throughout the presentation, just please make sure to write those down, or you can direct those to our wonderful host, Rachel. And without further ado, let's share this screen and take a look. As LJ said, we are extremely pleased to be able to welcome you all today to AI Smart. When we developed this product, we had our clients in mind, and that was to help you recruit faster and smarter than ever before. So before I dive into the actual AI Smart tool, I just want to cover the brief history about how this came to be created, because it is a rich and vivid story. And over here at Smart Search, we were fortunate to be able to partner with our long-standing industry-leading partner, Sovereign, on this AI Smart technology. You may or may not know who Sovereign is, but I can guarantee you, if you've used Smart Search for any extensive period of time and you've uploaded candidates, you've definitely used their extraction tool, as they've been powering our resume parsing technology for many years now. And when AI Smart first came into the recruiting landscape a couple of years ago, I'm sure you all remember that about 2-3 years ago, it was extremely hot and still is. And we wanted to do some really deep diving and due diligence into many of the different AI platforms to ensure that the one that we were going to implement with inside of Smart Search had your needs in mind. And those are having real results, something that's exciting to use, and something that you'll be able to see that return on investment. So, we took a long look at the industry and we came upon Sovereign. They presented us with their AI tool, and we already knew that they were, a wonderful company. And once we saw their AI tool, was pretty much, sealed the deal. It was something that we, knew was going to be useful for our clients, like LJ said, something that's going to be able to benefit you all every single day that you're using it. And going along with Sovereign, this tool is actually made in conjunction with one of our partners here, Cara Solutions. And this just shows the ways that Smart Search will work in concert with our clients to be able to build a smarter platform. Something that we pride ourselves on is building up Smart Search and listening to our clients' feedbacks and making sure that the product is usable and the modules inside of it are something that they're going to be able to benefit from. As LJ mentioned, this tool has been out for a couple of months now, and some of our clients already on it are receiving many of the benefits that were intended by it. Some of the things that they've been telling me and Sylvia and the team over here were that they're able to find high qualified candidates faster, and just giving them that competitive advantage, in regards to their competition, and filling those jobs quicker, and just having a great in-house sourcing platform like AI Smart. So without further ado, let's jump into the system and take a look at what AI Smart's all about. Let me just dive into here. Awesome. And before we jump into the 4 factors that I want to cover today about AI Smart, there are 2 things that I want to cover quickly, just some best practices in order for y'all to get the most out of this solution. And these are things that Smart Search will help you with when we set up the installation. The first being that the job description is something that AI Smart really looks at heavily when building the qualifying and matching criteria. So just making sure that the job description is as filled in as possible. I'm sure you all are experts at doing that already, but just double checking and making sure that the information in there is relevant to what you're going to want to be filling is crucial to the backbone of AI Smart and how it builds that factoring. Second, AI Smart only looks at your pool of candidate resumes, and it looks at ones that are 18 months or newer. So prior to the launch of AI Smart within your database, we will be doing something called a resume refresh. And what that'll do is it'll be an email drip campaign that gets sent out to all your candidates, asking them to refresh their resumes. So AI Smart has a good source of candidate resumes to build that AI matching on. So let's dive into the first portion of AI Smart and what I want to show you all today, which is AI matching from a jobs perspective. And as I come to this page here, it's going to look pretty much identical to your job profile within inside of Smart Search, with one small difference as this AI Auto Match tab here. And before I get into that, I just quickly want to go into this job description because, again, it is important to have it as vivid as possible. A couple of things I want to point out while I'm scrolling down here. There's going to be some skill codes that this tool is going to be looking for. UAT here, SME, And then as I continue to scroll down, qualifications, just again, making sure that this is a substantial job description is very important. And then as I get down, education is here, which will play a part into the qualifying matches. So let's get in and take a look at our first introduction to AI Smart here. And on this screen, there's going to be a couple things that you're going to notice right away. The first being in the shaded blue section. These are the qualifying criteria that this AI Smart is matching to the job that's relevant to it. And these can be a number of 8. So it really depends on what you fill in. And for this position, there are 6 of these factors. And they range from education, languages, job titles, experience, skills, industries, certifications, and management level. So whatever you input on this job description that you deem to be important, those will reflect on these qualifying factors here. And I'll touch on those in a moment. I want to go down to this bigger area here, which is the list of your candidates that AI Smart has found. And over here on the left-hand side, this is the Sov score. It's unique to AI Smart, obviously, with Sovereign. And this is just big, bold, right out of 100, super easy to read, something that, anybody can just look at this and say, okay, the guy here at 55 is going to be better than this person here down at 48. So just easy to read. Having that information right there is definitely something that is a benefit with inside of AI Smart. Over here on the right is 2 colored circles. I'm big on color coded, and I definitely get my fix inside of AI Smart here. It's definitely nice and colorful and easy to see. And these are actually telling you if this candidate is going to be a good fit for this position, and if this job is actually a good fit for the candidate as well. So it does that 2-way authenticating when matching this job to the candidates. Next to that is the industry, if whatever these candidates' industry is that's related to this job titles that they might have that are, again, in relation to this position, experience, and their education level. So again, just kind of some lower level overview of the candidate, giving you kind of a quick breakdown of what you're looking at right here. And I want to jump back up to these qualifying factors because these are extremely important and they're actually very fun to use as well. What I mean by that is they are totally interactive. So for example, on this position here, maybe they are heading a team, and they you want to make sure that they have some management level experience. I'm just going to come over here and actually slide my management level slider. And as I do so, you can see that my results are changing in real time. So I'm going to have better matches come up to the top, matches that aren't so good, those are going to fall down to the bottom. And you can see that my color-coded circles are now changing. So those sliders are completely interactive by you. You have the power to control this AI tool and make sure that the results that are found are ones that are going to be relevant for you and ones that you are actually looking for. And if you do want to go full bore on something like education, I mentioned earlier this job had that bachelor's degree. Maybe those are the only types of qualifications you want for this position. You can go ahead and just slide this education tab all the way to 100%. So again, just kind of showing you that inside of AI Smart, it's not rigid at all. You have the control over what you want to populate in here. And to undo the changes to go back to the default, you just have that nice undo changes button right there. I did mention there are 8 qualifying factors. There's only 6 showing right here. The other 2, as well as some additional layering of searching, is available here in the filter these results button. So when I go in here, you'll see, I have my job titles, experience, skills, things that are already on those sliders. But as I scroll down, you can see I have my spoken languages tab here. So maybe you forgot to add in, Spanish, or maybe the client came back to you and said, it would be really great if this person was able to speak French, as they're going to be, going overseas a lot. You can actually come in here and add that on. So anything that you want to continue to add on, you have, again, the power to do so, which is extremely nice with inside of AI Smart. And something that packs a really powerful 1-2 punch, and something that some of my clients have already reported back to me as being extremely powerful for them, is layering on Boolean and resume search strings. So I can pop this open, and this way you're using the power of AI Smart, and if you're a Boolean ninja, you're using your own prowess to build a better search result. So after you're done pretty much adding those factors, we're just going to jump back to my results over here on this page. And the next thing we're going to want to do is take a look at these candidates and make sure that there are actually a good fit. And this is something that AI Smart definitely separates itself from the rest of the bunch in just the ways that it breaks down the candidate analysis and matching criteria. So I'm just going to go ahead and view the resume on this first match right here. And while it's loading, I do want to mention that this AI tool is always learning. It's always getting better. So as you continue to move these sliders around, as you continue to add qualifying factors, AI Smart will pick up on those changes. And the next business analyst position you open up, it might have something a little different. And it's not learning, it's not like immediately you move slider education to 100% the next time you go in here, it's at 100%. It's learning over time, and it's taking in information from yourself, other people using this tool, and it's just getting better and better as it continues to go on. So on this page here, this is the breakdown of the candidate and why it was matched to this position. On the left-hand side, it gives you that nice soft score breakdown. All 6 of those qualifying sliders are over here in a nice drop down, so you can just click those open and see what was found on this candidate's resume that matches up to the position itself. On the right-hand side is the resume itself. And as you can see, there's a couple things omitted, such as the name and the contact information. And, that's actually very nice to have, as it, is unbiased in what it's looking for in the candidate. So you're going to make sure that, the AI Smart is an unbiased tool and is something that is going to be compliant. So as I go down, again, this nice match breakdown, again, the color coded comes into play big time right here. And as I go down, this is a great tool for clients as it builds trust. At the end of the day, the tool is only as good as the people that are using it. And if the recruiters in your firm, if you trust this tool because of this experience analysis breakdown, then you're going to be able to maximize your efficiency inside of this tool. You're going to be able to know that the next time you go into a job and you use the AI product and it has a score out of like 75 or even 80 or something like that, you're going to know that that is a qualified and vetted candidate record, and you're going to be able to move them along the hire track process more quickly. And if I go down here to the sovereign candidate analysis, I mentioned earlier, there's 2 ways of this candidate being a fit, if it's good for the job and if the job is good for the candidate. And what I mean by that basically is if this candidate has experience in mainly temporary positions, and this is a permanent type of position, even though the candidate might be a good fit skill-wise, job title-wise, they actually might not be a good fit because they're only looking for those temporary positions. So again, it's just a way of building that trust, showing you that AI Smart's looking at a number of different factors rather than just the resume itself, looking at soft skills, hard skills, experience level, things that they've done in the past, the longevity of their work history. And it's really just giving you a very detailed explanation as to why these matches were found. And as I said earlier with Sovereign, something that we were really keen on when we first implemented this integration with them. So I'll scroll down, I'll exit out of this. And after you've vetted these candidates, you're going to want to either reach out to them, send them an email, text message through Smart Search, or you're just going to want to go ahead and basically attach them to this position. And to do so, we have this actions tab right over here. And it's just one-click actions to view the contact information, attach them to a job. So that's the last portion on this page here that I want to cover. But again, for the AI matching from a jobs perspective, we covered how the job description is building these qualifying factors here, the list itself, how to kind of differentiate the good matches from the bad matches, those qualifying 8 criteria that it's looking for, how to filter these results and add on additional layers of searching such as Boolean strings, and then obviously the match breakdown of why this candidate was being found. And the next portion of this that I want to cover is AI matching from a candidate's perspective. And I'm just going to go over here to my candidate, Darth Vader. And for Darth Vader, the empire is crumbling around him. So he definitely is going to be wanting to look for a new position here. And something I want to mention before I get into the AI auto match on the candidate's perspective is, unlike the job, it's actually looking at the resume itself rather than the description. So if the candidate uploads a world-class resume, it's going to be able to find and utilize that to the fullest extent. So that's going to be the big difference on this portion right here. So let's jump into the AI auto matching on this candidate's perspective. Yeah, and as I mentioned, Darth Vader, the Death Star exploded. He's probably looking for something a little bit less dangerous. Maybe some IT, some cloud engineering jobs, things like that. So we're going to see if we can't find him a good position with good benefits. So as we're here on Darth Vader, again, we have those qualifying factors. There's 6 here, similar to the job. However, for Darth Vader, he actually has the languages tab. So this is going to be a subtle difference. As you can see, AI Smart is looking at different factors when it builds these qualifying sliders right here. Darth Vader, he probably knows Wookiee, some other languages to get around the galaxy. So the languages is important for him. So maybe we're just going to slide those up and see how those scores break down and move in real time. Again, it's very fun to be able to move those sliders around here. I'm just going to go ahead and undo those changes. And again, this screen is going to look pretty much identical to the ones from the jobs perspective. But what that does is it builds continuity throughout the system. It eases the training time and the amount of different things that somebody's going to want to learn from this. And it just makes it easier to train on. So continuity is definitely something that AI Smart has throughout the product, and something that we think is something that our clients think is very important to have. And again, the difference here is these are jobs rather than candidates. So to view the job, you can do that. Again, it gives you that breakdown of if this position is a good fit for the candidate, and vice versa. And again, you have that high level visibility. You can go in here and filter these results. You can see that analysis breakdown by clicking this view job button here. So just having the visibility, the parameters to continue to edit and continue to make this AI tool stronger is something that is very important with inside of AI Smart. Now, let's cover the third portion of this that I want to talk about is AI matching from a job folder. And the job folder, as you all know, are candidates that have expressed some type of interest to your position. And that could either have been from them applying on the career site or some external job board, or it could be you just going in here and adding them yourself through some type of searching. So these are candidates that are expressing interest in this type of position. And this is an extremely powerful tool, as it works really well in conjunction with the SOV score. I didn't mention this earlier, but we saw some good matches, but we also saw some red matches. And when I go into my view AI auto ranking on this job folder here, those red matches are actually pretty important, as well as the green ones, because being able to see which ones of these candidates are going to be a good fit and which ones aren't will speed up your hiring process, allow you to reject candidates faster, allow you to move those qualified candidates along the hire track faster. So having both of those available for you to visually see is definitely going to help you, again, maximize that time spent in here. As I scroll down, you can see I have those bad matches. I'm just going to go ahead and reject those right away, because I trust that AI Smart is looking at the factors that I want it to. It's putting emphasis on the things that are actually important for this position. And then I can just go ahead and utilize this folder here to filter the already interested candidates. And on the left-hand side here, you might notice my candidate Namit has a new track step called AI Matched. And that actually works in conjunction with our AI auto matching overnight. And this tool, basically, it will automatically attach candidates to your positions overnight. X number of candidates, you can set that up. The most common one is 10. And what that does is, say you log off on a Friday, you can go and enjoy your weekend. That AI Smart is working for you overnight. It's sourcing, it's learning. And when you log back in on your Monday or your following day, you're going to see that there are X amount of qualified candidates that have been matched already in your folder, ready to use. And, again, just the idea behind that is as you relax, the AI system is always continuously working. It's just working tirelessly to, again, just make sure that you're recruiting faster and smarter than ever before, which is, the whole reason behind AI Smart here. And again, this screen is going to look identical. Once you get into this portion of it, just that continuity, again, is very important. Just having that, that overview, that knowledge of every time I go in here, I know exactly what I'm going to be looking at. I have the power to control these sliders, move them around in my own discrepancy. I can filter these results. And then if I go to the actions tab, I'm going to have the ability to attach to a job. And then inside of this folder, it's a little different. This will actually allow me to open the hire track and move them along this the hiring process from when they're actually attached to when they're dispositioned. So, and today we covered 4 different factors of AI, the AI matching from a job record. We took a look at the qualifying and matching criteria that's being built within AI Smart, the ways that you can have the power to maneuver those different factors around, filter these results, add on different layers of searching capability. We then took a look at the AI matching from a candidate's perspective. And I didn't mention this, but what my clients have told me they utilize that AI matching for is if you have like a rock star candidate and they're coming off of a position, you just want to make sure that they are continuously working, they're happy. And then that also allows you to continue to generate that revenue, because at the end of the day, a tool like this is really designed for that return on investment, and being able to hire faster, find those high qualified candidates, giving yourself that real competitive advantage is the driving force behind AI. So before I get into the question and answer here, I did want to speak quickly about the promotion that we're running for AI Smart. And what that is it's $950 to set up. What that includes is the resume refresh that I mentioned earlier, being able to have that drip campaign send out to get those candidates to refresh their resumes to give you a better pool of results. So that's covered in the $950. It's then a 30-day trial. If you love AI Smart, which I'm sure you will, we'll apply that $950 to your concurrent month's cost, and then you'll be off and running. If you don't like it, well then, hey, you were able to get that nice resume refresh drip campaign, get your candidates to be newer in the database and more relevant, and then you got AI Smart for 30 days. So if you are interested in this, please reach out to myself or Sylvia Dalby, whoever your account manager is. Our email addresses and phone numbers are right there. And again, just want to thank you all so much for taking the time today to look at AI Smart. Very pleased to be able to present this to y'all today and have this available for you. So I'll be able to pass this back over to Rachel here and let her field the question and answer portion.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tyler. So if you do have questions, please send it through to myself, Rachel Pleasant, in the private chat, and we will ensure that those questions are answered. Whilst Tyler was talking, I did actually receive a few questions, so I'll field those through to you, Tyler, and any of the Smart Search team that may wish to answer that. So Tyler, one of the questions that first came through is, how does AI Smart learn from my choices? Is this an immediate change, or is this something that happens over time?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And yeah, it does happen over time, and it's constantly learning. And that's the great thing about artificial intelligence is, it's never perfect. It's always hungry to learn more, and it's no different with AI Smart. As you continue to make changes, if you have common positions opening up, it will learn from those and continue to get better. Not only from your own choices, but we have many other clients utilizing this feature, and as does Sovereign. So there's a great abundance of people using this and teaching the AI to get better and better.
Perfect, thanks, Tyler. Another one has come through. We've actually got quite a few, actually. Now, does AI Smart look at all of my jobs or only the ones that are open?
Good question. Yeah, I didn't cover that. It will only look at the open requisitions. So if you have closed jobs, you don't have to worry about it. It's not going to be looking at any of those. So yeah, it's just the open requisitions in order to help you fill those faster.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Tyler. And can you run more than one search at a time?
Yeah, so that's an interesting question, because on every job that's going on, you have those different searches. If you want to, you can save a custom search. I didn't mention that, but there was an option on there. If you do specify a particular search, you can save that. But in regards to running 2 at the same time, because it is just that one screen and you have those factors on there, you're not able to to run multiple different searches at the same time.
Perfect. Thanks, Tyler. And moving from the capabilities to talking about the promotion, somebody would like to ask, how long does the drip campaign go for? Is it forever, continually working in the background? How will that work?
Yeah, it's a good question. So it'll just run until pretty much everybody has either responded or hasn't. So, you know, it can be done in a couple of different phases. You know, if you have X number of candidates, we might phase those, or we can just run them all at once. It's really up to your preference. And we take a long time to work with you before this even goes live and making sure that the system is set up. I don't think I mentioned this, but something new that we've started doing here with AI Smart is working in conjunction with our clients to build the skill codes, because you know we have a lot of clients ranging from healthcare to IT, and the skill codes that are used for those industries are vastly different. So what we do with the setup is we have like an interview process where we gather the skill codes that are going to be most commonly used by your company, and we're able to set that up with the AI Smart. And that kind of goes in conjunction with the drip campaign. So it just kind of runs until, you know, we can continue to run it as well, but we just run it the one time. Everybody should be responding to it.
Sorry to interrupt, Tyler. I just wanted to add a little comment on this. The current way that it runs, as long as you have the AI, so we do the initial push, but eventually candidates who are new now will be over 18 months old. So it will continue to go in, and every night it says, okay, how do we have people that are over 18 months old and we haven't heard from them? Let's send them out this email and invite them to update their profile. And then we do limit it per night just to help email deliverability. If you send out 100,000 emails to Gmail, they tend to block it. So we have done a few things, and sorry to interrupt. I just kind of wanted to clarify that it will run perpetually, continually keeping your database fresh.
Perfect. Thanks, Tyler and LJ. Now, this is probably more of a technical question. So LJ, I'm not sure who on your team would be best to answer this, but what algorithm are you using for this AI tool? Is it keyword or a phrase pattern or GPT-3 or some other proprietary algorithm?
So Sovereign uses a proprietary system, to be honest, as far as so there's the AI engine, right? Whether you're using Microsoft's tools or Google's tools or a third-party open source platform. I believe it's an open source platform. I don't know the name of it, but they were one of the first resume extraction tools to come into existence. And what a lot of the AI engines don't tell you is the extraction part is really important too. So how well you can interpret the resume helps train the AI engine. So the fact that we're using Sovereign, who is used by CareerBuilder, who actually Google, when they were looking at having their own ATS, they were going to power it by Sovereign, the extractor. Now Google backed away from that, but that's how good Sovereign is. And that's kind of the essence of the AI engine, is how well it can pull out the information, identify what's what on the resume. Their kind of pitch is that they read the resume like a human. You know, they're looking not only at your skill codes, but they're looking at, okay, did you get this experience in a job? Well, that's more relevant than if you got it from your education 15 years ago. Is this a more recent one? Okay, well, that's more relevant than this. So they kind of take all of that, parse it out, pass it to the learning engine, which then identifies, okay, for this type of job, these are the type of things that tend to be a better match. And what makes an AI engine powerful is what's called the feedback loop. So those little bars that you're scrolling and stuff, that's your feedback loop. So that's telling that, hey, for this job, it already looked at your job and tried to determine what's important. And you're saying, yeah, you didn't quite get it right. This type of job is more skill specific. So that's what the learning process is giving it back where it continues to grow and grow. So hopefully that answered your question. It's kind of roundabout. It's a proprietary solution that they developed internally using an open source AI engine to kind of power it, using what I consider the world's best resume extractor to kind of be the entry to it all.
Perfect. Thank you so much, LJ, for the description. We have a couple of questions around the same theme. So it's really around how do we make sure that AI is reducing recruiter bias? So for instance, can you max out the number of years of experience displayed so that age discrimination doesn't happen? So how does our solution reduce recruiter bias?
Smart search is, if you notice in the demo, there's no name that's displayed when you get the results. That's actually a huge part of bias. If you look, there's been some studies done by, I think with Amazon and a couple others, where they found out that some of the AI engines were causing a little bit of bias, or at least not protecting you from bias. So this solution was specifically designed, and I've worked with the development team over several years on this, and it was specifically designed to reduce bias. And part of that is not showing the name. So, you know, sometimes a name will say a lot. You can see the cultural background sometimes from the name. You can see if it's a man or a woman. Even the name may give you a hint as to the age of the person. So they purposely leave that off, and that is a really big part of it. As far as, you know, the total resume age, if you look at the year's experience, it's relevant to who that person is. So when you extract a resume, it kind of determines, okay, you are first and foremost an IT guy, and you have 12 years experience in the IT industry. I could have 30 years experience, 13, you know, teaching third grade prior to that, but that's not going to show up in my relevancy experience levels. So it kind of also has that built in. And then as you can see, there's a lot of filters in there. So this tool, one of the cool things about it is it reduces the bias that is inherent when you do a keyword search, because you're going to do a keyword search based upon your own mental preferences. You're looking at the people's names. If you were to get audited by the EEO police or the OFCC police, you're going to be able to show them, look, this is the tool we're using. It is biasless. I mean, we even took out the name. So these decisions are being made before we even know if it's a guy, a girl, if they have a name that gives a hint of their ethnicity and all of that. So it really does protect you more than you may realize. Hopefully that answers your question.
Awesome. Thank you, LJ. I'm sure that does. We had one question saying, will AI search external databases in the future?
So right now we have one external database that it searches, that is CareerBuilder. We do that for one client. You want to be cautious with this because you pay, all the sites you pay per view, right? And it is really easy to say, oh, here's 1,000 good matches, and you only get 1,000 views today. So you cut your recruiters off at the knees so they can't do their own searches. So what we do is we limit it to like 10 per job per day. Even that, you know, the way it works is that obviously we can't index all of the resumes on CareerBuilder, Monster, Dice, you know, Indeed, all of that. So what we do is we build a Boolean search based upon the AI's interpretation of the job. So the AI engine says, here's the job, here's the keywords, skill codes that I think are important. We then build a Boolean search. We will search CareerBuilder, we'll pull in a certain amount, then we rerun that through the AI engine to see if it's really a good fit. And if it is, we link it to the job. If it's not, if it fails that pass the second check, then what we do is we leave them in your database because you just used up one of your views, and they could be auto-matched tomorrow or the day after. So we do have that with CareerBuilder. We're looking at adding Monster and Dice to that soon, and possibly others. So yes, the short answer is yes, and that kind of gives you want to proceed with caution, and you want to set the limits low so we're not using too many of the views, but we do that.
Excellent. Thank you, LJ. We had a specific question. One of the participants on the call has said that they have a challenge at the moment that some of their resumes are not completely accurate and some job descriptions are very sparse. So they just want to know, is that something that could work with the AI engine, or is that something that they would need to do manually?
In the IT world, there's a saying, junk in, junk out. So that's kind of true. I mean, if your job description is developer, you know, the world's best AI engine is only going to find you developers, and developers could be, you know, active server pages from 20 years ago, C#, Sybase from 30 years ago. Who knows what the developer is? So it really does. It works much better if you have a better job description, obviously. And so we would encourage you to use robust job descriptions. the system is smart enough to, most people will put a little blurb about their own company. Hey, we're Acme Corporation. We're the leading engineer company in the world, blah, blah, blah. The AI engine is smart enough to detect that and ignore that as part of the job description, so that every single job doesn't think it's an engineering job, even though you're hiring for an accounting position. So it's kind of cool that it does that. But you definitely want to invest in a proper job description to get the best results. And as far as the resumes, yeah, we know, you know, there's good and bad resumes. The better the resume, the better the, you know, the better the results. I mean, it is data, so you're not going to get better than the data. You know, we like to joke, it's also not going to wash your car. You know, it can do what it can do with the data it has, and what it does, it'll save you a lot of time and effort. It makes an entry-level recruiter act like a very experienced recruiter. That's a big benefit. And for your experienced recruiters, it brings the best people to the top, and it saves reading a 2-page resume by giving those little profiles. That's the biggest feedback we have, is how much time it saves, where you can just hone in and, oh yeah, this is why this guy is a good match. But it's all data in, data out.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And LJ, I'm just mindful that we're almost 10 minutes over time due to questions. So I might just give you one more question, and then we might wrap up, and any additional questions people can send through to either Tyler or Sylvia, or to myself, which is Rachel Pleasant, or just marketing@smartsearch.plus. And so the final question, and we'll also send out the recording, but how do we set up, oh, sorry, there's a different one. Can we run more than one search at a time?
Well, like 10 people can go to the same job and start using the AI engine, and based upon their little sliders and stuff could influence the results. So from that perspective, yes. We store every single search you do in Smart Search. So you can have multiple people working on the same job. It's not that as you slide it, someone else's screen gets updated. So it does link it to the logged in session, and each person can save their preferred settings. And when you go in, you can load it from that on the job. It'll show you the 5 or 6 that were saved, and you can load it up. So you can do that. When you ask a question like that, it seems to be geared more towards linking. Like in Smart Search, you've always been able to save a search to the job. We've always had one primary search. That's still the case, although we have been experimenting with saving multiple searches to a job. And just so you know, as I mentioned, as a general in Smart Search, every time you run a search, it saves it to the job. So if you run a search, file someone to a job, file someone to a folder, you can go back into that folder 6 months from now and click Run Search, and it'll pull up the search you used at that time. So that's maybe a kind of a hidden feature worth mentioning outside of AI, that we do log all of your searches, and you can go into a folder and access the search you use to find that person. So if you was a brilliant search and you want to come back, what did I use to find that great guy? You could do that. That's separate than AI, but hopefully that answered your question.
Perfect. Thank you so much, LJ. And thank you so much, everybody, for attending our demonstration on AI Smart. I'm sure you've seen, seen for yourself how it can help you work smarter and faster even while you're sleeping. We have the 30-day trial, as we mentioned. We very much encourage you to take advantage of that, use the drip feed campaigns. So I encourage you, if you're interested, to trial that, to get in touch with Sylvia and Tyler. And thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thank you. Have a great day.